welcome to today's podcast. I am talking about all things authenticity, getting to the heart of real storytelling. I am Monique Bradley. I am addicted to storytelling. I was born with a million words inside my body, and now it's my goal to help everybody let all their words out too. Today, I am here with Sebastian from Covermania. He's got you stitched up. Sorry, I stole your tagline, Sebastian.
Yes, you did.
I know. Sorry, mate. How are you feeling anyway?
Good.
Before we jump in.
Really good.
Good. What's your story? Come in closer, Sebastian. I feel like you're too far away. What's your story?
My story?
Yeah.
My story? Concerning what?
Well, we're here talking about business. Tell me about your story. Where did you come from? You've got a touch of an accent.
Yes. Originally from Germany.
Whereabouts in Germany?
Bavaria.
Ooh.
Yes.
Wow. What brought you to New Zealand?
Good question, because I always had in the back of my head, I'm never going to end up living all my life in Germany.
Yeah.
And Mum always used to say, you remind me of my father. You always remind me of my father. And my grandfather had the travel bug as well. So he was traveling the world in the late 1800s, early 1900s.
Wow.
He might even have been here in New Zealand. I'm not sure, because I found an original old photo of New Zealand bush in Mum's old photos. So he might have been here. I'm not sure.
That's incredible. Yeah.
So,
Imagine that.
My mother grew up in East Africa, and my grandmother was born in South Africa to German parents.
Of course. Yeah.
And I always had in the back of my mind, I'm never going to live all my life in Germany. It's just not, I need to get out. And that's what happened. I had a friend in Australia, and she had a 63-acre farm, freehold land in a 500 square kilometre farm. And she said, the farm is too big for me, and if you're ever sick of living in Germany, just come over. We'll sort something out, you know.
I love that. One of those moments where it's random that, I don't want to say the universe kind of opens a door, but it makes an offer. And I'm not into the super woo-woo stuff, but it's one of those times where you kind of go, was that an opportunity?
No, you touched on something very important, because you need to trust in the universe, because the universe will sort it for you.
There it is.
You know.
There it is. I know not everybody's into that, and I don't like to push any agendas. I'm very neutral. I'm about the story.
Well,
that's so cool. So she made this offer to you.
Yeah.
And you went, what? Damn it, I'm going to go.
I was working for 11 years with my dad. I trained as a sailmaker with my dad.
Wow.
And was working with him for 11 years, and I was to take over the business. But my dad was one of those people who worked his whole life. He died at the age of 86, and he worked up to the age of 84.
No way.
He did. He just couldn't let go, you know. And it just came to a stage that I just had to go, because there was no space for me within the business. And he wouldn't let me do the things I wanted to do. So, but that's the usual father and son, you know.
Dynamic. Yeah.
Dynamics.
Yeah.
Like mother and daughter is the same thing.
Yeah.
So we know what that's like. So I took her up on the offer, and I gave her a ring and asked her, and she said, yeah, come over. And so there were a few difficulties beforehand, but I sorted them. And so I arrived in Australia. The good woman was a user.
What do you mean?
She went through 14 people within 2 years, promising everybody the same thing.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Wow.
So that stint lasted for 7 weeks, and then I ended up going back to Cairns and working for Sailmaker there for a wee while. And but over there, at the beginning, it was actually quite interesting, and I was thinking of staying in Australia, but Australian immigration is very hard.
Yeah. Harder than New Zealand?
At the time, way harder than New Zealand. And because nobody was willing to help me with immigration. Nobody was willing to give me a job offer.
Oh, wow.
Nothing. They all said, I rang quite a few sailmakers, and they all said, if you sort out your immigration, we give you a job.
Oh, wow. Gosh, that's changed a lot. So for context, what year are we talking about?
99.
99?
Yes.
I thought, was this the 80s or something like that? I don't even know, because I don't even know your age, and I would never ask that as a question. 1999?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And so I was working at a Sailmakers in Cairns, and next door to the Sailmaker, there was a auto upholsterer. And I got friendly with the guy. We talked pretty much every lunchtime. And I had to leave Australia. I had to go somewhere else. And the auto upholsterer says to me, why don't you go to New Zealand? He said, first of all, Kiwis are crazy about sailing, and I'm sure they got a job for you. And he said, second of all, New Zealand is a beautiful, beautiful country. I just love it, and I would go there if I was you. And I thought about it. Didn't take too long. I rang a friend back in Germany, and she says to me, if it was for me, it would be nice if you come back so we can go for coffees, have chats, because I miss you and and all the rest of it. But that was before the total eclipse in Europe. And she said, nah, don't come back.
Bad timing.
Bad timing. People running around like headless
like
chooks.
Mad things, yeah.
And thinking the world's going to end and all the rest of it. So, no, don't come back.
Wow. So you came to New Zealand instead?
And
came across the ditch?
I said, yeah, that's fine. So I booked my ticket, got on the plane 3 days later, and arrived on Good Friday, 99, at 7 o'clock at night.
Wow.
With my suitcase and $200 in my wallet. And that was the lot.
Are you kidding me?
No.
So a suitcase, yourself, and $200.
Yes.
On Good Friday when everything's closed down.
Yeah.
What did you do? Like, where did you go for accommodation? And you didn't know anybody?
I'm sitting in the plane, and I thought, you cutting it a bit thin here.
Understatement.
Just a little bit.
Wow.
But you see, I'm trusting in the universe. I started chatting to the guy next to me, and I asked him, have you been to New Zealand before? And he said, yeah, 3 or 4 times. And he said, I really like it. It's really nice and everything. I said, so where do you stay? He said, I always stay at the YHA in town the first couple of nights.
Yeah.
And I said, do you mind if I take along? Because it's my first time to New Zealand. I don't know anything about it. And I know about New Zealand, what you hear in travel reports and documentaries, but that's about it.
Wow. Wow.
And he said, yeah, sure. I said, awesome. I said,
yeah.
Got the bed sorted for the first night at least, Next morning I go down into the lounge, and there was a blackboard and there were heaps of notices, and somebody was looking for helpers. So I ring the guy. Turns out it was a builder who was in a wheelchair. Half of a house fell on his back, but he still had his company, and he was looking for a carpenter. I said, I'm not a carpenter, but I'm quite versatile and practically minded. Yeah. So he said, so what are you? And I told him that I'm a sailmaker and I'm a horticulturist by trade.
Wow. Wow.
And and he said, yeah, come over, we have a chat. So he just was in Kingsland, so it wasn't too far to walk. And I went over there and we had a chat. And he said, so what are your plans? And I said, well, obviously I want to find a job as soon as possible. I got Lidgard Sailmaker's address, and that's it, basically, So I try to get my feet on the ground as soon as possible. And he says, yeah, that sounds okay. in the meantime, how are you placed for accommodation? I said, well, I'm running out of money fairly quickly.
$200. Wow.
As of today, I got $170 left, I said. And so I need to find something quick smart. He said, well, there's a room up at the second floor. Go up and have a look. If you like it, you can have it. I say, what? Yeah, he said, go up and have a look. So I went upstairs and had a look, and there was a mattress and a duvet cover and pillow, and
that'll do. Yeah.
That'll do me. Thank you. And I went back down and said, yeah, that's fine. And he says, and I said, so how much rent would you want? He said, don't be stupid. I don't want any rent from you.
Are you kidding me?
No, seriously, I'm serious. It all fell into place, and it's not finished yet.
Oh.
It's not finished yet.
Wow.
So he picked me up the next day.
Yeah. And
then on Tuesday, I rang Lidgard Sailmakers. I had the address, and Sean Lidgard was on the phone, and he says, ring us again in October, November, then we might have a job for you, because it's the end of the season now, and we're going into winter, so we don't really need you. And I thought, oh my God, what the hell am I going to do now? You know?
Of course.
That was me standing in a phone booth downtown.
Oh, wow.
That was before cell phones and shit.
Yeah.
So there I'm standing in the phone booth, and what the hell am I going to do now? So look down, and there's the yellow pages. Open up, Sailmakers. Ring the first Sailmaker, and he says, yeah, but it's really looking for someone. When do you want to...
This is hilarious.
Yeah. Seriously, when do you want to come around and we have a chat? I said, tomorrow. So went down Wednesday morning. He showed me the loft, and we agreed on a wage, and he said, when do you want to start? I said, tomorrow. He said, yeah, okay.
Wow.
So I arrived on Good Friday, knew nothing about New Zealand. It was like a big white sheet of paper for me.
Yeah.
To write my story on.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing it back to the story, because we are stories. Yes, I love it.
To write my story onto. And that's how it worked. And I started working on Thursday, and I had accommodation, everything sorted.
This is unbelievable.
Everything fell into place. That's why I said before, trust in the universe, because the universe, if you give the trust to the universe, it will do the right thing by you.
Wow. That's just remarkable. So that was 99.
Yeah.
And here we are, 2024. This is 25 years later, if I've done almost to the day.
Yes.
When we're filming this and recording this. So what is the journey of what is the story of your business been like? So how did you go from working for a company into setting up your own business? Did that too fall into place as well?
Yeah, pretty much. It went in a way. The first 9 months I was working for Sailmakers, then I was working for another 3.5 years for another Sailmaker. And during that time, I had my immigration sorted. He gave me finally the job offer I needed and everything else. So it was not a problem. I had the whole immigration process
sorted, professionally
done.
Yeah, great.
And I paid for it. I had hardly any money, but it was $4,000, and that was $4,000 well spent. Yeah, I have to say. And And I worked for 3.5 years with the last Sailmaker, and then he was a bit of an alcoholic, and he was pretty hard going at times, really hard going. And his foreman, who basically was working with him for 18 years, he was one of those people who could only be happy if he pissed somebody else off.
Oh, that's hard work, isn't it?
And that was really hard work.
Yeah.
I've been trying for a long time. And he called me a bloody useless German piece of shit one day. And that's when I said, sorry.
Yeah, you're out. You're done.
No. I said to my boss, either you do something or I will.
Wow.
So I made this guy leave after 18 years because of that was gross misconduct.
Yeah, 100%.
So he was gone.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I had to go back and do my dad's business for a month because my dad had to go to the hospital.
Right.
And when I came back, my boss here fired me.
Oh, no. And I was just thinking too, when you're going through the immigration process, you have to stay in the country for a certain amount of time, don't you, as well?
Yeah, I've done that.
Wow.
So
okay.
that wasn't a problem because I was only away for a month or 6 weeks, something like that, So.
Wow, so you go back to sort your family out and lose your job.
I lost my job, yeah. Well, I just... and that was the only time I was 6 weeks unemployed. And then I started to work for an awning company.
Oh, yep. Great. Yeah. Very much needed here in New Zealand with our son.
Yeah, and I worked for them for 7 years.
Yeah.
So, and it was the original owner of the awning company. He was selling, he was not selling, he was selling, he was not selling.
Right.
So he lost the love for his business, and he was very difficult to deal with at times. And there was one particular day I never forget. It was just absolute hell. And he was absolutely ridiculous. And I just said to his wife, I just dropped everything and I went to his wife and said, okay, Nolene, here's the deal. If you guys know what you want, when you want it, and how you want it, I'm at home. Because I'm not putting up with this shit any longer. I had enough. It took him 2.5 days to ring me up. And during those 2.5 days, I made up my mind. I said, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start my own business. It's time that I used my skills for myself to work in my own wallet, not into somebody else's. And so anyway, he rang me after 2.5 days, and I found out later that 3 of my workmates said to him, if you don't get him back, we're going to go as well.
Wow.
That was amazing.
That's incredible.
So basically, I started working again, and like 2 or 3 weeks later, he came down to my workstation and started chatting with me. And he asked me, so what's your ultimate goal, Sebastian? And I thought, well, what am I going to tell him now?
Because you already made your mind up.
I made my mind up. And I thought, no, be honest about it. And I said to him, Miles, to be quite honest, I don't know whether I got a job with you in half a year's time, or a year's time, or in 2 years' time. I got no security whatsoever. And if I got no security, I might as well start my own business. And from that moment on, from his side, it was a 180-degree turnaround. He said to me, good on you. You can trust me. I will support you in every possible way. Whenever you want to do something for your own business, if you want to do, if you need to use the machinery or whatever, you got the keys. You can come in and do that at any given time.
What?
Yeah, this was my reaction too. And I said to him...
So you're going into competition against him effectively?
Yeah, effectively, in a way. But he was at the end of his career anyway. He was going to sell the business. So, and I said, "You're not serious, are you?" He said, "Yeah, I'm absolutely serious. And you can start your business." And I said, "I need to reimburse you. I need to reimburse you for use of machines." And she said, "No, don't be silly. I don't want any money from you." And once again, it was the right thing. It was the right decision. Yeah. And as scary as it was at the time to think that I'm starting my own business without having a customer base, without having anything really, and just making the decision and going for it. It showed that it was the right thing to do. So
everything starts to line up.
25 later, basically I started my own business in 2003, incorporated in 2008, and been going ever since.
Wow. And so, wow, okay, this is great. So obviously you've got a lot of experience. You were kind of born into the business as well.
Yeah.
And you do everything from your boats, like fit outs and boats and all of the soft furnishings, right?
Yes. Through
to refurbishing wooden umbrellas and everything like that. So I get what you do. I absolutely get what you do. And that's real master craftsmanship stuff. But on the storytelling side, and this is my final question for you today, out of that whole incredible journey, what do you think would be that big message? If you were on Oprah, if I was Oprah right now, if you were on Oprah, what do you think is that biggest learning you take away from that story, from your story, that you would want to share with everyone else?
Trust in yourself. Trust in your abilities.
Beautiful. That's what we call a mic drop moment, or and Oprah would say it's a very tweetable moment. Trust in yourself. Why?
Because you can do it. You can do it. You quite often you think you're not able to do something, but you can do it. You got to try.
Beautiful. I love it. Wow. Big story. This is a big story, and that's what these podcasts are all about. Real people, real stories, getting to their truth, uncovering their authentic selves and finding out their secrets to living and showing up authentically and accessing those stories that have really shaped them. And also that reminder, like Sebastian said in today's podcast, having a blank piece of paper, because every day is the opportunity to write a new story. Sebastian, thank you so much for joining me in the studio today. Thanks to Pete for producing today's podcast episode as well. I learn so much every single time. People are extraordinary. Thank you so much, Sebastian.
My pleasure.
Yay. I wish we had an audience so we could clap. That was amazing. Woo!